Genesis 16, a reflection on patience, trust, and God's grace. Genesis 16 tells a story of human impatience, difficult choices, and divine mercy. It is a chapter that teaches us about the consequences of acting outside of God's timing, but also reveals His grace and faithfulness even when we fall short. At this point in Abram's journey, years had passed since God promised him descendants as numerous as the stars. But he and his wife Sarai were still childless. Doubt and frustration began to grow, and Sarai decided to take matters into her own hands. She suggested that Abram have a child through her servant, Hagar, so that the family line could continue. In their culture, this was an accepted practice, but it was not God's plan. Abram agreed, and soon Hagar became pregnant. Almost immediately, tension arose. Hagar, now carrying Abram's child, began to look down on Sarai, and Sarai, feeling hurt and jealous, treated Hagar harshly. This conflict escalated to the point where Hagar ran away into the wilderness, feeling abandoned and alone. But in her distress, something remarkable happened. An angel of the Lord appeared to Hagar by a spring of water in the desert. He spoke to her with compassion, calling her by name, something that must have been deeply meaningful to a woman who had been treated as insignificant. The angel told her to return to Sarai and submit to her, but he also gave her a promise. Her son, Ishmael, would become the father of a great nation. Overwhelmed by this encounter, Hagar responded with awe, calling God El Roi, the God who sees me. In that moment, she realized that even in her suffering, she was not forgotten. God had seen her pain, and He had a plan for her future. Hagar returned, and in time, she gave birth to Ishmael. But the tension in Abram's household did not disappear. Though Ishmael was Abram's son, he was not the child of promise through whom God's covenant would be fulfilled. This situation would lead to more challenges in the years to come, reminding us of the consequences of taking shortcuts instead of waiting for God's perfect timing. Genesis 16 offers us several important life lessons. Waiting on God requires faith and patience. Sarai and Abram grew tired of waiting for God's promise to be fulfilled and took matters into their own hands. This led to conflict and pain. When we rush ahead of God's timing, we often create unnecessary struggles in our lives. Trusting Him means believing that His plans will unfold in the right way and at the right time. Our choices have lasting consequences. The decision to bring Hagar into the situation caused division that would continue for generations. This reminds us to seek God's wisdom in our decisions, knowing that our choices impact not only our lives, but also the lives of others. God sees and cares for the overlooked. Hagar was a servant, an outsider, and a woman on the run, yet God saw her, spoke to her, and gave her a future. No matter how unseen or forgotten we may feel, God knows our struggles and meets us with compassion. God's promises do not need our help to be fulfilled. Abram and Sarai thought they needed to assist God in keeping His word. But God's plans do not rely on human intervention. He is fully capable of fulfilling His promises in His way, without shortcuts or compromises. God extends grace even when we make mistakes. Though Abram and Sarai acted in impatience, and though Hagar felt lost and abandoned, God remained faithful. He provided for Hagar and Ishmael and continued to guide Abram toward the fulfillment of his original promise. Likewise, when we make wrong turns, God does not abandon us. He lovingly calls us back and offers us a future. Genesis 16 is a powerful reminder that even when we falter, God is still in control. He is the God who sees us, who knows our pain, and who remains faithful to His promises. May this chapter inspire us to wait on the Lord, to trust in His perfect timing, and to rest in the assurance that we are never forgotten.